Ed Bernstein Show. Now, here's Ed.
Welcome. Joining us today is Judge Jacob Reynolds. He's a longtime member of Southern Nevada's legal community, currently serves on the bench. And throughout his career, Judge Reynolds has built a reputation through his years of legal experience, public service, and commitment to the judicial system. Welcome, Judge Reynolds.
Thank you very much.
We were talking earlier about some of the things you've done in your past. And,
Sure.
you're a judge today, but I kind of want to go backward
Okay.
a little bit because you have such an interesting background, and you've worked so much in the church and in the community and around the world.
Yeah.
Just kind of volunteering.
Yes.
Right? What was your first volunteer job?
Oh, first volunteer job. Oh, working in the orchard doesn't count because Dad made me do that, I guess. But voluntary service, I was involved a lot in Key Club growing up and different societies like that. Like in high school, we had a branch of Key Club, I guess, in service projects. Like Eagle Scout, and so Boy Scouts of America did that. But we went to, I served a mission for my church. Went to El Salvador to build Habitat for Humanity International to build houses there. And I've incorporated that into my local service, like in the bar, did pro bono work, did a lot of work bringing people to do pro bono service, that kind of thing.
So when you built the houses in El Salvador, were you in an urban area or you're out in...
No, we were out in... it's kind of a remote place, in as much as you can get remote. El Salvador is a smaller place, but San Salvador is kind of the main city, and then we were about an hour or two bus ride away from that. Beautiful little community, great chapel, like big, I love these communities that have, like the plaza has this big Catholic church.
Right? Well, that's South America,
yeah,
right?
That's what it is.
Yeah.
And then just like, you take a 15-minute hike, you're in the mountains, and you're seeing this amazing waterfall, and everybody's taking a break. But yeah, those were, I think it's important to do that kind of service. Because it enlightens you to all the blessings you have. Like we built 15 houses when we were there, and the people were so grateful to have them. And the way International Habitat for Humanity does it is you build the houses with the people that are going to get the house. Right. You build it up to a little bit, and then you go work with the next person's house, and you build it up to that. And then, so everybody helps everybody build their house, right? And extremely basic houses, right? Like we're talking about cement blocks.
Drywall. I hammered drywall for Habitat for Humanity a couple days.
Yeah. So it's like just chapa. I'm using Spanish now. It's like, so corrugated steel on the roof. Type of thing, like very basic houses, but those people were just so grateful to receive it. So,
and that's a beautiful country, by the way. They're known also for its surfing.
Oh,
Incredible.
I wouldn't know that.
Didn't do any surfing.
Didn't do any surfing, just hiking.
Okay.
So, and I love the pupusas to this day. Love to find a good pupuseria.
Yeah.
And so
great food.
Oh, excellent.
Yeah. What do you think about it? You did a lot of that service growing up. You spent some time in Israel, you're also telling me. How do you feel about doing that with youth? I mean, the Mormon Church, does it and created a standard for it. How do you feel about that being a national commitment?
I think, so there's a lot there. Serving with our youth need good role models. They need the influence of good men and good women in their lives. Gratefully, in my community, there's a lot of that, but there's a lot of people who don't have it, even in my church community. So the youth programs are really important. Like we just went to a Pioneer Trek reenactment where kids who usually sit down and play video games all day have to go out and they have to walk 7 miles like the people who settled the West did. And it just gives they get an appreciation for, hey, the people who actually built this country, they sacrificed a lot. They sacrificed their homes wherever they were. They sacrificed their lives coming across the plains, and they did a great service. So, but those youth can't go do that on their own. And so helping them go have that experience is super rewarding. So things like that, or just you can go serve in the community, just doing cleaning up. That's something you can do. Or we often go work at the food bank or something like that.
Right.
There's a lot of different ways to serve, but That's an integral part. People helped with me when I was growing up, and I have a lot of youth leaders who influenced my life, and so I'm extremely grateful and very happy to give back in that way.
Yeah. No, like I think it's a great idea. I know my wife's from Peru, and when we visit Peru in Lima, there's like no homelessness. I mean, everybody you get a job.
Yeah.
You know, you could be cleaning the park. The parks are spotless because
Sure.
you know there's so many people out there just picking up litter, but everybody is doing something.
Yeah.
You know, and it's a healthy way, I think.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Anyways, getting more current. I mean, you have a background in civil litigation. You worked for a law firm that did very complicated legal cases, and then became a point in time you decided to run for judge.
Yes.
Right. What was that about?
Well, so my first summer of law school, I interned here for Judge Lloyd George, and I'm sure you know him.
Sure.
He knew everybody in town.
Loved him.
His story.
In fact, he
about
was a
everybody.
neighbor of mine. We lived.
Oh, really?
His backyard and my backyard faced each other.
Well, there you go. So first summer of law school, worked for him.
Yeah.
A tremendous experience, and just having his connection to the community. He was such a shining light of what a person could be and what they could
the
do.
Sweetest man.
Right,
Yeah.
and so and then after law school finished, then I knew I wanted to clerk, and so I clerked for Chief Judge Roger Hunt in the federal court, and he was for 2 years, and I just loved that work. I loved the side of trying to make the right decision as opposed to advocating for one side or the other, and just it's more of a academic side, because you're trying to get the law right, you're trying to be fair. And so I enjoyed that side of the law a lot more. And so I had always wanted to get back to the bench after those two experiences.
So, what was it like to actually, have to run in an election? What was that experience like?
It's wonderful to some degree. Some parts of it are really hard. My first campaign was I ran with Tara Clark Newberry and Cesar Almase and Bruce Gill were my first opponents, and we actually all got along. It was an open seat, and so it was respectful, and I just thought, now Tara Clark Newberry is now our chief civil judge, and we're actually very good friends. I'm very glad that worked out, and our wives actually ran into each other in the elevator once where they were working, and they were just like, I'm so glad we don't have to be embarrassed about anything our people, our spouses have said. It's great to be in the community. It is great to see good people. We see so much in politics, I think, that is just bad, where people are trying to demonize each other. And it doesn't help anybody when we're demonizing each other. I really firmly believe that. And so it's been great to get in and meet real people who just want good people serving, right? And I think it's important for people to know, because I think we see the news a lot of people demonizing each other and, oh, this person won and they're a bad person or whatever. But on the ground, when I meet people, I meet a lot of good people from all sides of the political spectrum who just want good things and really want all the same things. How they want to get there is different, but there's a lot of unity of people who want to do what's right and do good things in the community. And so that's heartening when you're running a campaign.
And of course, a judicial race is different than a typical political race, because it's nonpartisan to start with, and then you have to work under judicial code of conduct rules.
Right.
Right.
You can't say certain things. You can't take positions.
You can't take positions, right? Because
Right.
a case may come up in front of you, and you can't, foreshadow how you may or may not rule in a case
Right.
when you don't really know the facts of the case.
Sure.
But because the political campaigns get really nasty, have you experienced that in judicial campaigns?
I have seen it happen in other campaigns. I'm very grateful that I haven't seen it in my own race. The person I'm running against hasn't done anything like that to this point, for which I'm grateful. I know people who know him, and I have good friends who are supporting him because they're like good friends of his and his wife, and there were people who wanted to support both of us, but he ended up getting in my race, and so that's what we're doing.
Yeah.
So I've seen it in other races. I haven't seen it in my own race, and I'm very grateful for that. I feel like you need to be the change you wish to see in the world, so I'm actually pretty adamant against that kind of politics, but it's somewhat easier in a judicial campaign because you don't have to get involved in
Right.
the issues on those more controversial things like taking hard positions. But anyway, so.
Okay, so you won that race,
Yeah,
and now you're a judge.
yeah,
Okay, so you have to. We have a judicial college up in Reno. I assume that you
Yeah.
spent some time up
attended
there.
that.
Because you have to learn how to be a judge. Right? I mean, you could be a good lawyer and understand
Sure.
the law, but it's kind of and you mentioned it. There's a difference between advocating and deciding,
Sure,
and sometimes deciding is more difficult.
sure,
Right? I mean, you just can't split the baby all the time.
right. Well, yeah, and I just for reference, Solomon never split the baby, just so we know. so I don't like it when judges do. But it was interesting that one of the things I thought was really interesting at the Judicial College was this. One of the presenters was a appeals court judge, and he did this presentation on evidence and ruling on evidentiary objections. And he had everybody, like he had the lifetime click in your response. And so he said, all right, here's the scenario. What's the ruling? And he has you click in which response you're going
So
to
you
do.
want you to make a quick
Right.
decision.
And it's just like, it was never unanimous. And so that was just enlightening to me to see, like, and it was usually like 1/3. It was like 2/3 and 1/3.
Right.
Generally was the split. I can't remember ever being close to unanimous on anything. So it's just interesting to me to see that there is a difference, and you just have to sometimes, your judges have discretion, and so you need to look at that discretion.
And that's why
how
we
they
have
use it.
appeals courts.
That's right, exactly.
Because they got a 1/3, 2/3 difference in what those opinions may be.
Right, and who was right, who was wrong. So it was interesting.
Yeah. What is the most difficult part about learning to be a judge, other than having to make those snap decisions? I mean, it seems to me like, a judge, as a judge, you sit there listening courteously to different, attorneys on each side speaking, and you have to keep an open mind, and you have to be patient,
Sure,
right?
sure. So learning, what's the most difficult thing to learn as a judge? So there were some things I had to learn on because I was complex commercial litigation, so subject matter
Right.
is one of the harder things to learn. You become familiar with it, and you're like, okay, got it. But as to acting, I think most people just want to be treated with respect. I was a prominent attorney in our community who has endorsed me. I'm not going to bring him up, but I was asking him what the most important thing was to him, and he said demeanor, which was really surprising to me, because he told me, like, look, I can take it if a judge is going to rule against me. I can understand that. They have to make a decision, but there's no reason for them to demean me when they do it. I'm trying to advocate for my client. I'm trying to zealously advocate for my client. So judges who yell at other people or disrupt or are uncivil to practitioners, I don't find there's a place for that. And gratefully, that's not something I've had a problem with yet. So, but that was just an interesting insight from me. He's somebody who's practiced longer than I have, and I've been practicing for 20 years. But it was just an interesting insight that would be the first thing, because usually people say, like, oh, integrity or intelligence or anything like that. But his was very clearly demeanor. He wanted to be treated kindly. He didn't want to feel like under attack when he was in the court.
Particularly when the client is in the courtroom or the client's there in proper person, right?
Sure.
I mean, so you went that experience with that individual to be a positive experience. He may disagree with the end result, but at least he feels that that person was heard, seen, and
Sure.
there was some justice.
Sure.
Right. And a lot of that is based upon how that person feels the judge is treating them.
Sure.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So that's important. So in the 4 years that you were elected and
Yeah.
have served, now you're running for re-election.
Mm-hmm.
What is it that you would do differently in the future? I mean, typically, yes, unlike a politician, where a politician will have, matters they want to get, passed, and legislation they want to get passed. With a judge, you must look back in your first 4 years and say, hey, this is something, an area I'd like to do better in the next 4 years. What would that be?
So let me just correct. Like I lost to Tara, but then I won my next election. So I was appointed, then won an election, and now I'm on the bench for this time. But
Okay.
well, our term is 6 years, so I hope I'm on for 6 years if I win. But really, there's some openings on the business court I'm interested in. They're redoing that, and I'm interested in that
And
issue
that's your
because that's
your
my
background. Yeah.
We don't have many judges with that kind of background.
Let's talk about that for a minute.
Okay.
Because right now we have different divisions in the court. They handle different types of cases. There's judges handle criminal cases and civil cases, and they're trying to niche it a little bit and fine tune it, right? So business court can be very complex.
Sure.
And oftentimes you have a complicated case, and certain judges may not have that kind of experience to really understand the complexity of that case. So what we're trying to do is create these niches in court. In business court, I would assume that you're a supporter of all that, of dividing up those niches, right?
100% supporter of getting there's a big push in the whole legal community to get more focused business court.
Right.
So.
Right, and it's so currently now it's these cases get randomly decided.
So no, right now is a new time because we used to have 6 judges who were business court judges, and they all had a portion of their docket that was dedicated to business court. Right now, the court is doing a statistical test to see how many judges do we need if we focus them only on business court. So right now, the court is doing a test where they only have 3 judges, and their entire focus is business court cases. Good judges, it's Judge Mark Denton, Joe Hardy, and Judge Maria Gall are the 3 judges, and they are basically the test judges for this 6-month period, so we can gather all the data we need to see if that's sufficient enough. And then my understanding is that in the new year they're going to decide, is that enough? Is this something we're going to do? And who will be those judges?
And when you talk about they're going to decide, who makes those decisions? The judges vote on that, or how does that work?
Of which decision?
Hey, we're going to have three judges working full-time permanently in business court.
That is something that I know the Nevada Supreme Court justices are working on, because this is something the business court may be a statewide court. And so there's a lot of things. I'm not on the complete insight on that. If you wanted to know more, I'd talk to Justice Herndon and Judge Gall. I think they're the most insight on it. But it's very, they're trying, who makes that decision, I think, is also the judges collectively, yes. But I know the business court, the business law community is going to have a lot of input into it. They're looking at trying to get input from them who would be the right judges. And then also they're talking to, and the judges and the justices are involved as well.
Well, and you're also very fluent in Spanish. Has that been helpful to you on the bench?
Yes, not so much on the bench because when someone comes in that needs to speak Spanish, we have translators for them, and the record has to be kept in English. But it is helpful because we do judicial settlement programs, and that's a free service we offer to the community. Not all the judges participate. I do participate, and people have found it helpful when they have Spanish-speaking clients, because we have 1/3 of our population here in Clark County is Hispanic. And so we have a lot of families where, like, grandparents only speak Spanish, their children speak Spanish and English, and then the grandchildren only speak English. And there's often kind of disputes between family members or friends where things have happened inside a community where they need that solved, and it's helpful to have a judge who can speak Spanish. So I've done settlement conferences entirely in Spanish, helping people get resolution to those. And like I said, that's a free service we offer to the community. And we don't have many fluent Spanish speakers on the bench. Monica Trujillo is a Spanish speaker and a fluent Spanish speaker, like very comfortable. But I'm not. I know Judge Pete Tennell is a fluent Spanish speaker, but other than that, I don't recall any others.
And you learned Spanish living in Argentina?
Argentina, working jobs, like I worked landscaping growing up, learned a lot of Spanish there, frankly, and very helpful. You know you're going to start learning the language when you start thinking in the language and when you dream in the language. That's a great point. And that's when I started, was when I was working landscaping with my friends. And that was before I went to Argentina. Then Argentina solidified it. And then since then I worked in, like I said, El Salvador, Uruguay, been to Guatemala many times on things like that. So
That's very interesting. So you have dreams in English and dreams in Spanish?
not right now. So I don't, very rare that I dream in Spanish right now,
Right.
but when you're immersed in the language, yes. And
Right.
when you're learning the language, yes. When you get to that point, it's like, oh, yeah, that's, and still even sometimes today, when I speak, like a Spanish word will come out because it's, the sentiment comes across easier in Spanish. So.
Yeah, it's in Spanish. There's different ways of describing, particularly romantic things.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, sure.
My wife's Peruvian, so she's and when she's watching something in Spanish, it seems to me it's much more dramatic than we take shortcuts in English.
Sure.
We get to the point of the conversation. And in Spanish, they're elaborating on the words. Are actually sometimes I think more important in Spanish. It just feels more romantic, more. It's different than English.
Well, it's a different sentiment.
Yeah.
Like I say, like when I came back from Argentina, the times I would slip into Spanish, it's really, it makes you wonder what communication is, and you're just trying to communicate what you're feeling, right, or what you're thinking, and sometimes it's easier just to use a word that you're more familiar with, and that might be Spanish, it might be English. So so that's when I slip, and sometimes it still slips, like when I say entonces, and then I catch myself like I mean. So it's just like little things that slip in.
So campaigning this time around, is it any different than last time? You're out there, here it is 2026,
Right.
campaigning again.
Right. So now I'm a sitting judge. It has been really enlightening to me. I have really enjoyed the people who have, because people come out and they say, no, I really like, now I have a track record. Before, like the first time I ran, I really didn't have a track record as a judge. I wasn't a judge. And so now I have a track record as a judge, and I'm extremely grateful for the people who have come out and told me, like, no, we really like the way you run the bench. Like I have people, law firms donating to me who haven't donated in past races to anybody, and businesses who haven't donated to anybody in the past, like they're donating to me. And so, and some entities in our community don't usually get involved in judge races, but they see my race as an important race because of what I've done on the bench. And so it's been, and then at the same time, it's interesting to see how people decide not to support you. Like I had a case that offended some groups of people, and and they thought it was a really controversial decision, and I didn't think it was controversial at all. I think I was right on the law, and then I got affirmed 7-0 by the Supreme Court, and still that group was like, well, you should have decided our way anyway. So for me, it becomes offensive when people just are hoping that the judge will be a hack for their side. I think that's a sad thing, and it's a sad state of our politics. Like there's people who definitely just want somebody who's going to decide for them regardless of what the law says. And that's just not me. I think I've proven that I'm not going to be that way. But I've been very grateful for the broad support I've received from both sides of the political aisle. I got substantial support. I've got from the plaintiffs' bar and the defense bar, from business community and unions. I've got a lot of broad support. And I think it's from generally people who respect the fact that, yeah, I have to make a decision, and I'm trying to make a well-reasoned decision that the law prescribes, not just trying to make my friends happy type of thing.
So when you're in front of a group of citizens, not lawyers, not connected with unions, not connected with the business community, just regular people, right?
Right.
How do you explain your track record to them?
Oh, well, it depends on what they're in, because everybody has interests, you know, and they usually, when people find out you're a judge, the first thing they say is like, "Oh, can you help me with my ticket?" That's generally the first thing they ask, and you don't want to end up in front of me on a ticket, because that would be a very serious
Because you don't really
infraction.
handle them.
Right, exactly.
Okay.
The traffic ticket is
Yeah.
a different court. But anyway, like, so I try to talk to people. Like, I think most people want a judge where they don't have to worry about what political party they are, or whether or not this person gave more money than that person. Like, they want to know if you are somebody who's fair. And frankly, I see this mostly in sports. You know, the easiest contact is a referee or an umpire. I had my son who grew up playing baseball, and it was, you know, we saw umpires who were trying to balance out the game, which was very frustrating, and it was extremely frustrating for him particularly, to see, because you can tell when it's a little league game. We all get it, and so he's trying to make one team not get blown out or whatever. But the kids who are working hard and have tried hard to get their skill right, and they're doing the things right, to have an umpire just kind of like put their hand on the scale to even it out for everybody, it's offensive. And so I think most people relate to that idea. Is like, look, we need an umpire, we need a referee to play the game. We all want to play the game, we want to have fun, we want to do our jobs. And in the law field, it's like, we want somebody who's going to be fair to both sides. We know this, we all know the rules. The rules are public information, and so we just want someone who's going to be fair, and we're going to run our case, but we want someone who's going to be fair to us. And so that's really what I try to do.
So I assume you're not happy when you hear at a hockey game, "Ref, you suck." You
You
don't
know
know
what,
that
it's
answer.
true. I'm not. I don't boo the refs anymore. The most I yell is like, "I disagree." So that's.
Hey, well, thank you so much for spending some time with us today.
Thank you so much.
Judge Reynolds. Judge Jacob Reynolds. Get out there and vote this November.